Today is my day. No one will get in my way. I am here on purpose. I have a purpose. All things. I will no longer stay at this mountain. I'm done losing. I will no longer play second place. And when you make that one decision, I believe that the God we serve will move heaven and hell to help you win. And I believe that a lot of you in here today, you could create your own miracle in your life tonight. All right, what's going on, guys? This is Coach JC here, and you are watching or listening to the Win All Day podcast show. Man, I'm super stoked and excited right now. If you are a frequent listener, then you know we don't have a lot of guests on this show, but when we do, man, you know that we are bringing the fire. So we're excited, and I'm going to introduce you to that guest in just a moment. But before we do go there, if you are a frequent viewer or listener, then you know we kick off every podcast with what we call our Win All Day winning confession. Now, if it's your first time, then you just want to repeat after me. Today is my day. Nothing will get in my way of me being the best version of me. I am here on purpose. I have a purpose. I am strong. I am passionate. I am fearless. I choose faith. I am a winner. I will win and win all day. Yes, come on, baby. Hey, I'm super excited, and we want to welcome you to the Win All Day podcast show. And today I am joined by the individual that you can see on the screen right now, the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Mr. Tim Storey. How are you, sir?
JC, that just kind of fired me up, what you just did.
Come on, man. I am fired up to have you on the show, and I know our guests are fired up as well. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm glad that your show is not called Win Part of the Day.
Yeah, win part of the day. Win for an hour. It's win all day, man. You know, it's funny you say that. People ask all the time, what is that mantra all about? And it's funny how so many times, Tim, and I know you're probably going to want to get into this, we give meaning to words in life. And I believe that words have power. And this saying, win and all day, was created at the lowest time of my life when I was $400,000 in debt, suicidal, desperate, down and out. And I got in this Bible, and this verse popped out at me, and I created this confession. And now to this day, it's become a movement. And people are now saying win all day on social media and everywhere you look. So it's funny how that works in life.
I love it. What was the Bible verse? Do you remember?
And so first of all, the Bible verse was Philippians 4:13 that says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And the other one was Romans 8:28 that says all things work together for good. And those were the two Bible verses that were birthed the Win All Day movement.
I love it. So let me just say this, as a veteran who's been at this for a minute, I'm kind of like the Magic Johnson of the movement.
Absolutely.
I think that, number one, I'm proud of what you're doing, because you're taking biblical principles and you're making them relatable to the world. I think for too long, people of faith have fished in one little tiny lake, and it's like they're fishing for the same people, a lot of times saying the same things. And like people that we went to high school with, they don't even know the names of who we consider greats.
Wow.
So it takes people like yourself that are willing to go into the ocean and go fish for those fish out there, because they're looking for God, and sometimes they don't know it. So I'm proud of what you're doing, JC.
Well, I am grateful. I am honored. That means a lot coming from you. And I know we do have guests right now on the show, Tim, that may know you and obviously may not know you. I could sit here all day and go over a bio and all the amazing things you've done. But man, I would love if you could just take a few minutes just to share, who's Tim Storey? Where do you come from? How did you arrive where you are today? And why do you do what you do? Man, I would love and be honored if you take the time to do that.
Okay. I think sometimes in life you decide, some things you discover. My life is a lot of discovery. being raised in the church since I was 4. I was raised in a denomination called the Assemblies of God. Came up loving sports like so many kids. But when I was a junior in high school, I knew that I was called to help people. But I thought it was going to be more like as a humanitarian. So I ended up going to a place called Southeastern University, which is a Assemblies of God school in Lakeland, Florida.
Yeah.
And when I was there, I realized that I had a gift to communicate. But I knew I was not going to be a traditional preacher, but I knew that I had a gift to communicate. So already while I was at Southeastern, I was creating a life coaching system my freshman year. So that's mind-boggling, because that's before like knowing about Tony Robbins, knowing about Zig Ziglar, knowing about Og Mandano. I didn't even know about these guys. I knew about Robert Schuller. That was about it.
Wow.
So I started going into the inner cities of Tampa and motivating young people about living a big life, doing big things, and using the Psalms, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes. And so you take that from being freshman year of college, now you got 37 years later, me doing the same thing, 75 countries of the world, spoke to 85,000 people by the time I was 28 years of age. So, by the grace of God, I've had a nice run and I'm enjoying myself, and I get into places that most people don't have the keys to.
Wow, man, what an inspiration. And, you said something I want to hit on a little. I think there's a lot of people watching right now, Tim, and we have a lot of people that listen to our podcast and here's how I know this. I get emails, I get Facebook posts and messages all the time on Instagram and Twitter that say, Coach JC, I watch you on camera and it's like you're trying to reach out and grab me. And you're just so passionate about what you do. How do I get to figure out what my purpose is? So, you're walking out your God-given talent, your abilities, your calling on this earth. And you said 37 years consistent doing this. What would you say to the individual that's watching right now and says, man, Tim, Coach JC, I hear what you're saying. I tuned in, but man, I just don't feel like I have a fire. I don't know what my purpose is in life. What would you say to that individual right now? Because I know they're watching.
Find a purpose is actually easier than people know. A great man named Myles Munroe, who is my great buddy, who's in heaven now, he used to say this, and maybe you remember this: life without a purpose is just an experiment.
Come on. I love that quote.
Yeah, life without a purpose is just an experiment. I wrote a book in the late 80s that was a bestseller in like the Christian world called Good Idea or God Idea.
Beautiful.
And there's a difference between a good idea and a God idea. A good idea is good. A good idea can be super. Like, oh man, I got a super idea. That's a good idea. A God idea is supreme. So what you want is not the super, you want the supreme.
Come on.
So how do I get the God idea? Super simple. You stop, you look, you listen. The Bible says, my sheep know my voice. So when my mother used to call me when I was a kid and I was out playing football in the streets and she'd say, Timmy, I knew it was my mother's voice because that's my mom. My sheep know my voice. So JC, all we have to do is stop, look, and listen.
Come on.
Because your calling is calling you. And this is very, very powerful.
Come on.
If I was to life coach you, which that's one thing I do is life coach entertainers, is that if I was to life coach you, it's very simple to find out where you belong. I already see it. Your background in fitness, the way God's given you the ability to speak, your verbiage, your intellect. Your calling was calling you when you were not Coach JC, when you were little JC. Your calling was calling you. So stop, look, and listen.
Wow, beautiful words, man. I love Myles Munroe, and I've been honored and blessed to spend time with him. And I remember that quote. I think a lot of people, we get so busy in the mundane of life, right? And this is not just the person on the other camera that's on the other side of the camera that's saying, I'm trying to find my purpose. And I was just at an amazing event in California with some of the top influencers in a very expensive mastermind group. And there's still people that are doing great things in life, but they're still lost. And
Yeah.
I honestly believe that God is always putting me and you in the right place at the right time to cross paths with the right people. We never just show up to a place by mistake. But
Yeah.
even the influencers out there that you deal with, I mean, you say, I get to life coach celebrities. I mean, what a blessing is that God's given you that responsibility. But let's talk about that for a moment. I mean, even the person that's making 30, 40, $50 million a year, and they're in the limelight, and everybody from the superficial level that sees them says their life must be perfect. I see them on Instagram. They must have everything. I envy them. But if only we knew, man, why are people that have the money, that might have the body, but why are they still lost trying to find their identity, Tim? What would you tell that person?
I would say that there's 3 levels of living: almost, most, and utmost. Almost means not quite, nearly. I almost got the job. I almost made the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
My marriage almost worked. So most people get stuck in an almost life. They really do. And there's been some amazing research done that most people at the end of their life say that their dream didn't happen. It almost happened. Over 80%.
Wow.
So most people are stuck in an almost life. What most people are then chasing is what I call the most life. So they'll see a Richard Branson, they'll see my friend Jean-Paul DeJoura, who just sold Patron for $5.4 billion.
Yeah.
They'll see LeBron James. They'll see these guys and they'll say, okay, that's what I want. I want this life at this pinnacle. But really, that's not even what I'm after either, because the most life means there's a ceiling. So even if the ceiling is super high, I don't want the most. I want the utmost. See, an utmost God did not create almost children.
Yes.
So what I decided to live, and I do live it, is Ephesians 3:20.
Come on.
As you know, for God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or imagine. So the utmost life is where we're headed. So utmost in what? Utmost in our ability to manifest our dreams, but utmost in peace, utmost in love, compassion. So I think the thing that a lot of guys are missing is the meaning and significance. And so that's what we have. So a person who is a mother, you can have meaning and significance. You don't have to have $40 million. A person who is a janitor at a college can have meaning and significance if that's their utmost call.
Come on.
So it all needs to be put in the proper perspective.
Man, you know, for a second, I know obviously, you know, you're a legend in what you do. You've been an inspiration to me. You know, I think our story is similar where in college, you know, it's kind of funny and ironic. I didn't know that about you. You said the life coaching business and my calling you started in college. And for me, I was the youngest strength coach in the nation. And I was training athletes. And that was at one of the lowest points in my life when I was actually rock bottom. But it was during that time where athletes started to come to me and say, Coach JC, what is it about you? You know, you're not normal. Like you talk different. You act different. Man, you just believe different. You dream big. So I want you to talk about that for a second. And you're in Hollywood. Man, you're around Oprah. You're around some of the top celebrities, athletes. You're around people that, let's just be real, they might not believe in everything that you and me are talking about today. But the word of God says that they'll know you by your fruit. Man, how are you still cool, right? Let's be real. People say to me all the time, Coach JC, you're still cool, but I like hanging out with you, but you don't do the things we do because I'm not judgmental. And I still have friends that, you know, do certain things I might not do, but I still love them. So talk about that. Is that a struggle for you, or how's that work for you? How do you have all these friends that are, you know, you could say in the world, the secular world, you believe what you believe, but you're still cool to them and they still love you and they still come to you for advice. Talk about that for a moment. I think that's so intriguing, man.
That's a great question. And there's a Bible verse that says, do you see a man skilled at his work? He will serve before kings. So as you know, Malcolm Gladwell says it takes about 10,000 hours to become really skilled at something, excellent at something, I became a really good comeback coach. I do not think I can be beat in this space. If someone's in trouble, if they're on TMZ, probably 70% of the time they're talking to Tim Storey.
Yeah.
So I became somebody who's really good at turning your setbacks to comebacks.
Come on.
Setbacks to comebacks. So that became my skill. So my gift, the skill, made room for me and brought me before great men. So that's how I started meeting the guys that everybody knows that I hang out with. And these are my boys. I mean, we're with the biggest stars in the world. We don't just take pictures with them. These are my boys. Absolutely. I do projects with them. I'm with them. They're at my house. They call my mother. So the reason for that is that I'm skilled at my work. So they come to me, first of all, for the fact that they needed to go from a setback to a comeback. And then they begin to feel my spirit. There's a Hebrew word, mashach, which is the rubbing off of the anointing.
Come on.
And so they sense my peace. They sense my spirit. They sense my motives. See, my motives are right. I never tried to be a famous minister, but yet I became one. I don't do Christian TV because that's not for me. I was offered my own show on Christian TV in 1988 and said, no, that's not for me. That's for all my other boys. I like a lot of guys that are on there. They're my boys. It's not for me. I don't just go travel around trying to be a famous Christian speaker anymore. I did that already. So you got to know what your God idea is at that moment. And I became skilled at turning people's setbacks to comebacks, and that's what brought them to me. And then they sense our spirit, like they're sensing yours.
Powerful, man. I appreciate you sharing that. You know, this is the Win All Day podcast, and we don't have a lot of guests on here. Just being real with you, I'm very selective in who gets to speak into the people that take their time and invest their time to watch and listen to the show. And you know, I honestly believe that you're here on purpose. And you have a purpose, but I believe that the words you're saying, that there are people listening right now, that their life will never be the same after listening to this show. So I want to dig a little deeper and get in the life of Tim Storey just for a minute. It's called the Win All Day podcast. And I would like to ask you, what do you do to win all day? What do you do and here's what win all day means. It's not about competing against somebody else. It's not about a status of I either won or I lost. It's about you at the end of the night, laying your head on the pillow, knowing that you gave everything you could, that you were the best version of you, that you maximized your God-given talent. Like the word of God says, you did not neglect the gift that's been inside of you, that's been given to you. So physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in a relationship, what does Tim Storey do to win the day, man? Let us in the life of Tim Storey. How do you win and win all day, Tim?
I think, you know, we all have different personalities. So let's say one guy may coach. I'm coaching two guys today later that are worth like a ton of money. But that's never been like my motive. So that's what they're after. And so I'll coach them in certain ways having to do with the way they think. But for me, going back to Bible again, Ephesians 4:1 says to walk worthy of the calling you received. The word calling means specific calling, God idea calling. And one of the things about the calling is it's number one, specific. And number two, it's unique. So like a T.D. Jakes has a unique calling. Do not try to outpreach the guy.
Come on, brother.
Because it's not going to happen. Okay? So there are certain guys that have unique callings. So what I think that one needs to do is that they need to find out what their calling is, as we talked about earlier, but then walk worthy, which means to honor or to step up. I told Oprah Winfrey, who is actually my real friend, we do a lot of projects together. I think I broke the record for the number of times of being on Super Soul Sunday.
Come on.
I told her in her backyard, I said, I don't believe in chasing dreams. I cooperate with what heaven has already said.
Wow.
So as chill as you see me, I've got 3 new TV shows coming out next year, all secular. I'm doing a new movie with probably one of the top 3 stars of the world, where I'm the producer. I'm doing a Broadway play, and I'm this chill. I'll be this chill at 3, just chill at 5, this chill at 9, because I'm not chasing anything.
Come on.
I don't chase. I cooperate. Big difference. But cooperate is still being in shape. Cooperate is, to me, I have a therapist because it's good for me. Cooperate is going to church, having good people around me. So I'm not chasing. I don't chase. I cooperate. That'll change somebody's life.
That's so powerful, man. So many times in life, Tim, I've been guilty of it too. We're chasing. You brought up TD Jakes. I was blessed and honored this past year to go down to Dallas with, good friends of mine, Pastor Paul, who we've talked about at Victory Church in Tulsa, and AJ. And we were blessed and honored to go down to the Potter's house and have lunch personally with TD Jakes and hang out with him for a day. And he let us in the life of him. And, he said a few things that really hit home with me. And that was one of the things we talked about is so many times in life, we're chasing the wrong things. And the power of choice and decision on a daily basis can radically change your life. I cross paths with people from all walks of life every single day that they're just making the wrong choices in life. Yeah. So what would you say to that person that is confused right now and is saying, man, I hear what you say, Tim, but how do I make the right choices? How do I start choosing the right choices? I'm not going down the right direction. I know God has more for me. I know I was called to do more and be more. I just don't have the peace of mind right now. How do I start making right choices in life?
Okay, so the first thing you need to do, if you're going the wrong direction, you need to pull over. It's kind of like if you're driving and you're using Waze and Waze doesn't know the Waze, you got to pull over, even though that takes time, and you got to re-navigate where you're headed. And one of the things that you can do, it's so simple again, is look to people's lives that look like they have significance. And like to me, in high school, I looked to the life of Mother Teresa. Like Mother Teresa did not work out. Mother Teresa was not Arnold Schwarzenegger. Mother Teresa was Mother Teresa, but I started to study this life she had of significance, and it did something to me. So if you're going the wrong way, pull over. Number one, pull over and stop. And then start looking for people's lives that have significance. How do I do that? Watch TED Talks, okay? There's certain ministers on TV that are really rocking and saying great things. Listen to Coach JC, study him. And so that's what you need to do. Pull over, find some people that you resonate with their life, and their success will leave clues, and that clue will lead you to the right place.
That's powerful. How simple, but so profound, right? And why were you saying that? You were saying that. I just felt led to talk to somebody right now on the other side of this camera, because I think a lot of times we search and we look for an identity in our past mistakes, our past failures, or maybe even what we do as a career or profession. So I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but when Tim was talking about that, I think you need to pull over, like he said, and you're going to have to take some time to pause and stop and reevaluate where you're going. But I want to challenge you right now. You got to let the past go. Your identity and who you are right now is not caught up in your past mistakes or your failures. It's not what you do for a living. That's what you do. The past mistakes are behind you, and come to a true understanding today that you were born with a purpose. You are here on purpose. And I hope you receive that right now as you pull over. Stop for a second, reevaluate where you're going, and know that you are here on purpose and you have a calling on your life. Man, great word, Tim. Great word. So I like to do this. You know, you're a life coach. I've been life coaching for about 11 years now, and I love what I do. I've been blessed and honored. I don't talk about who I get to life coach a lot, but like you, obviously not on the scale that you have been with Oprah, but some of the top professional athletes and CEOs and pastors, you know, they get to come to Coach JC when they're going through something in life behind the scenes. And I don't take that responsibility lightly at all. I feel like when I lay my head on the pillow that I've been given a talent and a gift that's been given to me. And it's a huge responsibility. And, you know, what about you with the responsibility you're given? know, 37 years doing this, do you ever say, wait a second, I'm getting to coach Oprah or coach this celebrity? Am I going to say the wrong thing? Or, oh my gosh, I mean, do you pinch yourself? What does that feel like sometimes? Do you ever have fear or doubt or worry that they're coming to Tim Storey?
I think that all of us, that if you walk in God's plan, it's always slightly out of reach in your own power.
Come on. So
like when God says to Noah, build an ark, okay, he's never seen rain. And so God will always call you to something that is slightly out of reach in our own power. And then another Tim Storey saying that is really cool, I like it. God calls shaky people to do sturdy projects. Like, I never tried to be like, I'm the guy at all times. Because usually when a guy is acting like that, he's really not the guy. I've been very cool with the fact that I'm in recovery and discovery at the same time.
Come on.
Like, I'm really cool with my faults, flaws, and failures, and knowing that I'm not going to stay there, but then I'm going to grow. And I really believe that it's out of that the world opened up to me. Not some of the world, not a piece of the world. The world opened up to me. And so to me, I don't feel overwhelmed at this stage of life, because I believe that when you have God's super on your natural, you can't be stopped.
Let's go.
So if I go into a meeting about a TV show, even if it's at a high level or all this big movie deal that I'm doing, I really am not overwhelmed, because I feel like I got God's super on my natural, and I've learned to decrease and let him increase, and it makes life a lot easier.
Man, I asked you that because I wanted to hear your thoughts and where you're at on that, because I get that question all the time. And sometimes I take a step back and I say, I almost feel guilty. And I'm like, no, I really don't. I have this confidence inside of me, because man, it's not me only. And what you just said is powerful. And I want to just reiterate that when you combine the natural with the spiritual, I hear a perfect formula that equals supernatural. So you're not always saying, hold on, Tim Storey has the answer for you, pro athlete. Tim Storey has the answer for you, millionaire, billionaire. But I believe that the spirit that lives inside of me, that power, the same power that raised Jesus from the dead, lives inside of me. So hold up, wait a minute. I believe that spirit is going to talk through me. So you might not always have the answer, but you have a confidence, and I see it exuberates all over you, that answer is going to come to you because there's something stronger inside of you. Did I hear you right?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm glad that you know that song, Hold Up, Wait a Minute. I was in Las Vegas, and I was about to speak to 10,000 people at an event recently. And all the other speakers were pacing. They're pacing. It's well-known guys. They're pacing.
Yeah.
And I was in the back just chilling and talking to the people that want to talk to me. So the guy says to me, do you realize you're going to be on in 8 minutes? I go, yeah, I'm good. And they go, have you been mic'd up? I go, I'm old school. I just want the handheld. He comes up and he goes, Tim, they're about to play our intro video. Are you good? And I said, I'll help you out with something. In about 7 minutes, I'm going to blow that whole freaking stage up.
Come on, baby.
And I did.
Yes.
And I'll do it again on Thursday, and I'll do it again on Saturday. Because I'm so filled with the things of God that I blow places up. I mean, Ask the people where you go to church, ask them about my old meetings.
I cannot wait.
But just ask. So that's two things. That's gifting from God, but that's also what I carry within.
Yeah.
So what I carry within is the game changer as well.
Come on.
So I work hard. Like, for every message I teach, I put in over 10 hours.
Yeah.
So I don't halfway anything.
Yeah.
So,
And I want to commend you on that because, Financial Peace, Dave Ramsey, his program for churches, we created, actually, that's kind of been my calling is I watched the church world as I went through the church world for the last 17 years of my life. And everybody was showing up, Tim, and they were getting fed spiritually every day of the week. But I watched how they were broken mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I said, wait, what's going on? This is not the life God called us to be. What good is it if we know the word of God and we have a calling on our life, but Satan's creeping in? The word of God says that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He's creeping in your mindset, creating fear and doubt and anxiety. He's creeping in your physical body and deceiving Christians that you don't have to take care of yourself and exercise. And I think what you said is powerful right now for the faith-based world, especially. There's a lot of believers that I deal with. We create a program that's an 8-week course now. And we go into churches and I go in, I speak, I put a big rally on, and we give them the tools necessary over 8 weeks to become the best version of them, to win all day as a Christian, not just spiritually. It's all biblically based, but to not neglect the gift that is inside them. They're going to work out. They're going to exercise, 3, 4, 5 times a week. They're going to do personal development stuff. They're going to train their mindset just like you train your body. And it's revolutionizing a lot of churches. But here's what I hear all the time. I'm waiting on God, or God's going to give me the right word. And I think what you just said is powerful. So many times as Christians, we forget that faith takes action.
Yeah.
Right. And you having a tremendous work ethic. And I want you to talk about that just for a minute. You have to combine your work ethic, the natural, with the spiritual.
But first of all, I want to commend you on what you're doing. And I think that you are smart enough to give honor where honor is due, because in the early days, some of the trailblazers were guys like Oral Roberts. He was the guy that was gutsy enough to build a university. What healing evangelist had ever built a university?
Yeah.
He used to have his own TV show in Hollywood, and he went down that path.
Yeah.
But there's been some guys before you, like even a Myles Munroe, that got into the secular world. And so if you're smarter as a young guy like you are, is that when somebody is a trailblazer, sometimes you need to follow that block, because you're an athlete. Follow that block as a running back and come through the hole.
Come on.
So really, to your followers, a Coach JC is really breaking open an area that they can now follow the block. You opened it up. Now they can follow. Does that make sense?
Powerful, man. Powerful word. Man, I appreciate you sharing that. Man, we're believing Tim's story, man, that this is just the beginning for you, brother. Yeah. All blowing up stages, it's just the beginning. I know, I think you, correct me if I'm wrong, you spoke out at Grant Cardone's 10X event, right?
Yeah, I did his last 2, and then I'll do this next one. He's going to have over 30,000. I get over 1,000 invitations a year. But I'm just having fun. This is what we're up to. We're changing all kinds of lives. We do the Hollywood Bible study. We've had that since 1992. We bring in some of the biggest stars in the world. But come on. I'm excited more about you young guys taking over. And my vision is to see someone else's vision happen. As my guy Joseph, who you met earlier, says, Tim Storey is playing with house money.
Come on.
I already did it.
Well, you're amazing, and I do want to say this. I respect you in an immense way, not only for what you've done in the life coaching, personal development, and professional speaker industry, which obviously a younger guy like me is in, and you've paved the way. But also, man, I want to share this with you. You're not untouchable. And I respect that and honor that in a way that you have no idea. Me and you just started corresponding over Instagram, and you actually sent me a message. I don't know if it was put on your heart or what, and we started corresponding. But I just want to say thank you. I'm honored and I'm grateful. So many times people believe that the Tim Storey or the Tony Robbins or whoever, they're untouchable. But for you to say what you just said and say, man, my calling now is to kind of give back, and it's to help pave the way for the younger guys. I'm humbled and grateful that you took the
Joseph,
time.
can you take this right here? I'm just talking to my guy for a second.
Yeah.
For me, I'm 57 years of age, which is young. And
Absolutely.
I've been doing this till I'm about 85, because my mentor, Quincy Jones, is 85. He just had his birthday.
Wow.
So, but I'm a young 57. I get to do all this stuff. But I promise you, I don't wake up thinking about me.
Yeah.
That's very singular. I'm more of a Jesus style guy. And it started early, being a servant, working at a church, vacuuming, doing the tapes, just being a servant, loving people. And I think that when you're a servant, God gives you assignments that are mind-boggling.
Absolutely.
And so, to me, to see what you're doing, you're next.
Come on.
That gets me excited. Like if I hear like, whoa, guess what? Coach JC is doing this thing. It's like 70,000 people. I'm like totally elated. When I see the young cats coming up, like Stephen Furtick, when I look at the young guys coming up, like Rich Wilkerson Jr.,
yep,
Chad Veach, all those guys always give me mad props. But I'm happy for them. They're next. And so, yeah, that's how I see it.
That's powerful, man. Well, I do want to respect your time. I want to give you the last word, man. Is there anything that you want to say to the viewer or the listener on the other side, man? Just a winning word from Tim Storey that can bring us home and close this. I know you're going to blow it up like you blow up the stages. Come on, baby.
I'm gonna blow it up in my unique artistic way. And here's what it is. You may not be what you want to be, but thank God you're not what you used to be. And I feel like a lot of you are tripping on what's not happening. And so you may not be exactly what you want to be, but thank God you're not what you used to be. And the Bible says, forget about the former things and do not dwell on the past. To dwell means to meditate. For behold, the word behold means look up and pay attention. See, if you're tripping on your past, then you're not beholding and looking up and paying attention. For behold, God, not your cousin, not your brother, God is doing a new thing. The word new in the Hebrew means something that is fresh and never been done before. So in your life, God is cooking up something in the kitchen that is new, fresh, and never been done before. That's where you're headed.
Wow, powerful, man. If you're listening right now, I just want to challenge you, receive that. You are listening to the Win All Day podcast show or watching, and that's Tim Storey, the man, the myth, the legend, blowing it up, baby. Hey, Tim, can you do me a favor? People say, man, I want to get more of Tim Storey. How can they find you, watch your videos, maybe follow you on social media? How can they do that?
Just Tim Storey, STOREY.com. TimStorey.com. We do a lot on Instagram. We have about 430,000 followers. We'll probably hit 500,000 in the next 30 days. TimStorey.com. Tim Storey, STOREY.com.
Awesome, Tim. Hey, we are grateful. We are honored. We're believing for the best for you, man. We're just thankful. Thank you for taking the time to be on the Win All Day podcast show. And for all of our listeners and viewers, we thank you for tuning in today. Until next time, this is Coach JC, and I'm reminding you one last time that you were born to win. So go win and win all day.